Welcome back to Sticks and Flicks, everybody. This is the stick side of things. We're talking sports.
Talking sports.
I'm John. This is Nick.
That is me.
Let's get right into it. So the election happened. Obviously not a sports thing, but because everybody has a voice and people like to either congratulate or complain, it is the American way. We're going to start with reading tweets and stuff and quotes from some athletes around the world. Now, I have one here from Enos Cantor, who posted a picture of the American flag with a bunch of the sad Michael Jordan faces as the stars.
Yeah, there was a lot of those going around.
Whether you were in favor of Trump or didn't like Trump, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to ask you.
No, we don't do politics here.
Yeah. I was never a fan of Enos Cantor. He's a guy who got paid well above his playing skill, and the guy's a loudmouth, which came out of nowhere because when he was on the Jazz, nobody even knew who he was, and when he went to the Thunder, again, he was just a mediocre player. Although the first 10 games he played with them after that trade, he did pretty well, but ever since then, hasn't done much of anything but try to talk trash to Kevin Durant. So, is it funny? Some people probably found it entertaining.
Yeah.
He is a foreign-born player, so, he might feel... I mean, as long as he keeps playing, his work visa's never going to run out.
So he'll be here.
DeMarcus Cousins, just a sad face.
Yeah, there was a lot of upset tweets and quotes and people just being shocked by what happened. And then on the other side, you have people like LeBron James who just quote, genuine love and faith will be the only thing that can get us through this. See, that's a positive message to send out to everybody who's obviously, there are people that are panicking out there. Let's just take a step back, and these sport figures, obviously they're going to want to voice their opinion because they do live here. And, you're going to have some people say, you know what, just focus on sports. But again, what's stopping me and you from freaking tweeting that stuff, I'm upset or I'm happy? They have just as much as right as we do.
They do. Well, the thing is, what was a put off for me personally, and from what I read, actually did, sway some people the other way, is because Hillary Clinton had LeBron James, for instance, at a rally in Cleveland, standing on stage with her, preaching that she's the only choice. You got people like Jay-Z who sings rap lyrics about shooting people and being a pimp, but then saying that Donald Trump says mean things and, Hillary Clinton's the person. Which, I respect all these people who, they're entitled to all their opinions, Trump supporters, Hillary supporters. But from what I heard, a lot of people were actually more put off by Hillary having all these celebrities and all these athletes, standing on stage with her and doing all these rallies and stuff like that. People want to have their own voice, and they don't want you to tell them how to do things. I see what you're saying. Like they're allowed to have a voice. They are citizens and stuff like that too, which I totally understand. But you're using your influence. Like LeBron James brought a title to Cleveland. So I can understand him thinking that he has that whole city wrapped around the palm of his hand, because realistically he does. But outside of that city, there are people in the Rust Belt all along the coast that all their factory jobs have gone out the window and all this and all that. So I think those are the things that, some people don't really take into account when they go to these big city rallies, because realistically, most of the big cities in all these states, even if Donald Trump won the state, a lot of the big cities in there, lean towards her, because there's more business and there's more, of the middle class and stuff like that there than there is, in rural fucking Kansas or rural, Ohio and things like that are gonna say, listen, you might think that in your big penthouse that's how you perceive things, but over here in the real world with the regular everyday citizen, that's not how it is.
And I feel like this gives an opportunity to segregate, people from sports. Like you said, LeBron James pretty much has the city of Cleveland in his palm.
Yeah.
But however, when it comes to politics, you know what? LeBron James, you play basketball. You're
Yeah,
not
you don't
an
know
expert.
shit.
You're not an expert in politics. So I'm gonna form my own opinion. I respect you for what you've done for my city, but I'm gonna form my own opinion, and that's how I feel. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have people who are just against it completely, the entire process completely. And I'm talking about one specific individual, and that's Colin Kaepernick, who did not vote because he thinks it's another face that's gonna, what is this? Another face that's gonna be the face of the system of oppression. And to me, it didn't really matter who went in there. The system still remains intact that oppresses people of color. Now, if you want to bring about change, and it has happened in history in this country, you need to make your voice heard through electing the people you feel are right for that position. Not voting it's not the way. You can't sit there and bitch, it's like, I'm going to bitch about the outcome even though I had no part in it whatsoever. It's not right, and just shut up. And I'm pissed off in a sense that I have to even bring up Colin Kaepernick. Because people are still following him and seeing, what do you think now? I'm just glad this election's over, and hopefully no one ever has to talk to Colin ever again. I just really
What he doesn't understand is, you make 6 figures, Colin Kaepernick. You don't know what oppression is. Like, you don't. It's as simple as that. And I understand that you're trying to be the bigger voice of, a specific group and things like that. But the way you're going about it is just all wrong. Like, you didn't vote, which, people have died for your right to vote and all these things. Like, listen, voting is a privilege. It's not a right. You didn't have to do it if you didn't want to. Whatever. Understandable. But here's the thing. No matter who won, the biggest bringer of oppression, right? And being down on each other, being aggressive and all this stuff towards each other is, when you're in a bad spot, it could put you in a bad mood. It's gonna bring out the worst in you. Now you got cities like Detroit and Cleveland, where a lot of poverty, Southside Chicago, in New York, in LA you have it. You have it all over the country that where, people aren't working. Things are going on where nobody's making money. Well, you know what? People start making money, jobs start coming in more, you have something to fill your time, you're getting paid, you're advancing in life. Let's say, no matter who it could have been her, could be him, he's the one that has the opportunity to do it now. If people start seeing dollar signs and jobs, everyone's going to totally forget about fucking, when you're in a positive situation, you tend to be more positive.
Right. I agree completely.
If I'm making $10,000 being a pizza delivery boy, nothing against pizza delivery boys, a job is a job.
Thank you for all your hard work, by the way.
Yes, trust me, I love pizza.
3 a.m.
But then let's say now you're that same pizza delivery boy, but you're making $15,000. You're going to feel much better about yourself and about the things that go on, and vice versa. Just adding more jobs and getting, more money, you start to see the better things in life, and it brings less, anger and stress and aggression towards others. So if people start seeing more dollar signs and, things of that nature, this whole, racist, there's oppression, yada, 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 it's going to quickly go out the window. So, let's read Joakim Noah. How? Bunch of exclamation marks. Well, that's the Electoral College. That's how.
That's on the lighter side of what people say.
Yeah, you know what? Houston Street. Election TV is awesomely entertaining. We should shorten terms just to do this every year. I really don't think that would be beneficial for anybody's stress level.
Nothing would ever get done.
Steph Curry, Van Jones, nothing but respect, right? Ricky Rubio, really America? I mean, some of these people I just don't think should be really commenting. It's like just, people who aren't really from this country. You live here, but you're not from
the votes. It was almost 50-50 the entire way. Almost. So that means half of you are going to be pissed off no matter what. So obviously we're seeing some of those people who fall under the half that were pissed off.
Here's a good one from Jim Irsay. Part of the 1%. The guy who owns the Colts. The weight of the White House rounds and softens the edges of any man or woman. It demands greatness and inspires all souls towards leadership. Now, to me, that
sounds like they have faith that this soon-to-be president can change their views and the way they act and the way they treat people for the better of this country. I mean, that's what's important here. We talk about sports. We love sports. Sports is a great escape from all the evils that go on in this world. And it doesn't matter who's in there. If they want to make this country better for all of us, I think we should just listen. I think we should just listen.
I agree.
Watch and see what happens. It's a 4-year sentence. It's not like he's going to be president for the rest of our lives. It's 4 years. That's what people seem to forget. There's protests going on. People are out in the streets freaking burning stuff. Just let's wait and see. And until then, we have sports to occupy our time.
Right. Now let's talk briefly about something that we haven't usually been talking about.
We have not at all.
It's a passion of mine, the UFC. There's a big event this Saturday.
Close to home.
Literally, for the first time at Madison Square Garden, and for the first time in the state of New York, professional mixed martial arts has come. UFC 205. It's this Saturday, the 12th. Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor for the lightweight title. Very, very exciting. The card is stacked. I will say one thing. Let me read off the card real fast. We have, just to name a couple for the big prelims, Frankie Edgar is fighting versus Jeremy Stevens. That's going to be a pretty solid featherweight fight. We got Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Michael Johnson, lightweight. One of these guys really could be fighting for this title, honestly. Those are the two big ones on Fox Sports 1, which could both very well be main card fights. Now, the actual main card, obviously you have Alvarez versus McGregor. McGregor, fighting at lightweight for the title. Could be the first person to hold two titles at one time, although it won't last because Dana White already said that he's going to have to vacate one. 3 title fights on this card. Tyron Woodley versus Wonderboy Thompson, which is going to be a good fight. We got Joanna Champion versus I couldn't even tell you how to spell this chick's name, honestly. Carolina
Kowalski.
Whatever. More power to you. Chris Weidman, a native of Long Island, representing us. Versus what's his fucking name? Yoel Romero. One loss. Actually, I think he had a fight overturned against Jakar because he got popped for doping. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm actually surprised his record's not indicating that. We got Kevin Gastelum versus
pretty eventful night, Madison Square Garden for the first time.
Honestly, the card is big. Main cards aren't this big. They're usually 5-6 fights.
It's a big apple, so you have to go big or go home.
Yeah. Usually not 6. They're usually 5. And then the prelims alone have 2 main card fights on it. It's just too big to really have. You only have a certain amount of time. It's going to be a great card, and I'm rooting for Conor McGregor. I like his attitude. The guy's brash.
Just like the way he mounts off.
Yeah, but he usually always backs it up. And as I love the Diaz brothers too, and the two of them going against each other was just so perfect because you literally have two people who verbally match up and then who both physically match up, and they both want a dogfight. This card's going to be good, man. 3 title fights, you don't normally see it. I think the last time they did 3 title fights on the same card was UFC 100. You had Brock Lesnar fighting defending his belt against Frank Mir. George St. Pierre fought Thiago Alves. Ended up beating him. And BJ Penn fought Frank Yeager the first time they fought, where he ended up losing the lightweight belt. So if this is what this first card is going to be in New York, I can only imagine what UFC fucking 300 is going to be, So
who do you got? Conor McGregor or who are you taking?
I do have Conor McGregor.
Okay, good.
Now, I think he might start out slow. It's
Wasn't
really
his last fight a loss? Wasn't he fighting upper class?
no.
Was
They
that
fought at
previous?
170 2 times, him and Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz the first time came in, on 2 weeks' notice, so he wasn't in. He couldn't drop down that much weight.
Mm-hmm.
Then they fought again at the same weight. I don't really know why. They both had a full camp, but he ended up winning the rematch. Now he's fighting at 155, so he had to lose some of the weight. It's really all about conditioning. If his cardio is there, then I think he's actually probably a little bigger than Eddie Alvarez, especially if it's mostly muscle that he's fighting with now. But it's really just if he could hold his cardio, then I think he'll probably out kickbox him. So I got him. I think Tyrone Woodley will probably take it, defend his belt, and nobody beats Joanna Champion. Although her last fight was pretty close in the earlier rounds, but she's like the next Ronda Rousey. But
you don't hear much about Ronda
well,
Rousey.
that's because she's gonna fight in December. She was filming movies. She doesn't give a shit about fighting. She doesn't care about fighting. She wants to be a movie star, even though she's a terrible actress, and she wants to do stunts and things like that and look pretty. That's what she really wants to do. She didn't want to do this shit. She was good at it. She's good at judo, but when people actually start punching her in the face, she's like, "Fuck."
Why am I doing?
Well, yeah, because if you think about her last fight, she got knocked the fuck out. She got embarrassed. So
yeah, I don't feel like she was even prepared for that fight.
she really wasn't.
Not talk about that one. Talk about MSG, which is going to be bumping. I mean, tickets are starting around like $645 for no.
Yeah, no, it's super expensive. First fight in New York is just super expensive. So I wish I could have went. I really wanted to, but just can't afford that one.
Can you get rid of one of your kidneys or something?
I mean, I got a pretty strong bladder, so maybe. But all right, yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So
yeah, that's it. That was
yeah.
Okay, so thanks for watching, and go America. Go America and go New York.
Go America and go New York.